Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 36, with your amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Gräter. Hi, guys.
Hello, and today's topic is very dear to our heart, which so many topics are, and you hear it again and again. It's called the law of attraction, or other people say cause and effect, or other people say karma, or other people say you reap what you sow, or other people call it, I don't know. You look in the mirror, and whatever the mirror reflects back is being shown to you. There are so many words for it and phrases. It's basically all the same, because sometimes we meet people, they say, "Oh, I don't believe in karma." Yeah, it's the same thing. It's basically, to put it in a nutshell, you reap what you sow. It's basically written in the Bible. And interestingly, it's not written you reap when you sow. And there's a big thing, because some people say, I reaped, I put out seeds of the right thing, the right thoughts, and I had the right things coming from my heart, and I felt the right way. But where is it? The trick is not that you receive it the moment you put it out. It's not you reap when you sow at the same time. You reap what you sow, and the period it takes to grow, nobody really knows. And some say it depends on the energy you give out, or the feeling you give out, because they draw the event back to you, like Dr. Joe Dispenza would say. And we want to speak about that today, if we can influence that, and what we can do about karma. Basically, to say karma is what you think, what you say, and what you do. The base of those three things bring stuff back into your life. And with that, I give it to the manifestation master, Vladi.
It's funny because I have to say that the law of attraction is the secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. Now, what Norman is talking about, the sowing and reaping, the truth is that it is the cause and effect, but it is what you vibrate. So who are you? That's what you attract. And I know sometimes we don't like it, because we look at some of our results, we look at something that we experience in our life, and we look back and we say, well, I didn't cause that, because I don't want any of that. But you get what you vibrate, and you get what you ask for. And think about this. How often do you think about things you don't want versus focusing on just feeling things that you would love? So instead of you staying in your imagination and creating this amazing whatever you would love, and feeling like, how would I feel if I had it? Bring it always to the present, because what you vibrate is like a magnet, so you attract that to you. So if you are saying to someone, oh, nice words, because you want to look nice, but inside of you, your vibrational energy speaks different, that will always, always, always override your words, because your words have nowhere as strong power as your vibration. That's why so many people, they look nice and they kind to you, and they might say things they don't actually mean, but it's that inside meaning that is actually vibrating, and that's what's attracted back to them. So don't worry about, you should know, and I'm gonna say this lovingly, but you shouldn't worry about, you're not the judge, or you shouldn't say, oh, you're gonna get this back. People always get back what they send out. It's just what it is. It's a law. It's a universal law. So if you're vibrating kindness and giving, and sometimes you might experience something you don't like while you're being a kind person, and you're thinking, why? Well, there's still something we haven't done right. Maybe we are reacting over responding. Maybe our attitude is not the way it should be. So maybe we should adjust the attitude. And as Norman pointed out, cause and effect. We've done something in the past that will come back to us multiplied, whether we like it or not. And unfortunately, if it wasn't a nice thing we've done, that comes back. But it's not always about not doing the right thing. It's actually about how you're feeling. If you're upset, if you're jealous, the emotional scale of emotions, negativity, jealousy, hatred, somebody successful, and the first thought you have is, Why is this not happening to me? He's a liar and cheater, and look at him, he's successful, and I'm such an honest person, I'm not experiencing this. Is that how you think? Because that will come back to you. Because we are not supposed to compare ourselves to anyone else. The only person you should worry about, and that is where the law of attraction comes to, is who am I? What am I doing? Am I better today than I was yesterday? That's the only comparison you're doing. You're not comparing yourself to other people and how they're doing, because everyone may put so much work and energy into such a great things. You can't see that. So there is a reason why they're successful and experiencing what they're experiencing, because they've put so many great seeds and they're looking after them. So they're nurturing them in their garden of mind. Norman.
And probably you're wondering, as Vladi just touched on it, why some people are successful. Take a drug dealer or whoever you would call probably a bad person and say, how can they be so successful? Because whatever they are sending out, drugs or weapons or whatever, is not good for humanity. And that's a very important point. It doesn't matter if what you do is good for humanity or not. Otherwise, all the bad people would not be successful. It's what Vladi just shared. It's what they send out from their heart. And if they have such a big demand to be seen or heard or respected, and that's their desire, and they say, I need a lot of money for that, to fulfill this inner yearning, this inner wish, they will attract everything according to that in their life. And you say, but I'm a very honest person and I give so much out. Coming back to the last episode, I give so many podcasts and YouTubes and so many newsletters, and I do so many free coachings. Why is God, the universe, not sending something back to me? Because it's not what you send out or do in the first place, it's something before. There's a story I heard from Kevin Trudeau, and he said, if you have a car and you want to start the car, what's needed to start the car? And most people would say, you need a key. You put the key in the lock and you turn the key and then the car starts. And that's true. And some of us experienced in their past that sometimes you put the key into the lock, you turn it, and the car doesn't start. Because the key is not actually the key how to start your car and drive from A to B. The key is the engine. And what Vladi just shared with, it's what we are vibrating, is the engine. And we're so often focusing on the key. Oh, it's what I do and it's what I'm giving out. But if the engine is not working, if the engine is not running smooth, you can have the most shiny key you want. You do not attract what is related to that. And this is what karma or law of attraction is all about. It's you get back what you send. But therefore you have to send something first. And it's not what you send consciously, your wishes and desires. You get back, what Wayne Dyer always said, you get back more of who you are, what Vladi also shared. Which brings us to the question, who are you? What are you sending out? What's your engine, your heart, sending out, your subconscious mind on a frequent base? And if you say, actually, I don't know how I think about myself, how I see my self-image, how I see myself in the world, I actually don't know what my heart is sending. And I say, yes, you do. Because you see the result, you see the reflection, you see what's coming back to your life, what's reality right now in your life. That's actually the result of what your heart is sending out. So if you have no clue what your heart is sending, look at your result. And if you say, oh, I'm always sick, the question is, what would your heart need to send out that at the result you end up sick or broke or unhappy or being mistreated all the way? If you can see the result, you can see, feel, taste, touch it, the five senses. This is the result. So the result of any thought and vibration is what you can grab or see or feel or hear or taste. The five senses. It does not get any better. So if you know the result, you can always calculate back and say, what would I need to put in that this result that appears through the five senses can be visible to me to pick one of the results. And that's the main cause. So be Sherlock Holmes and go a little bit back and say, what would need to come from my heart on a very subconscious level, that this result appears. You just calculate backwards. And then the main question appears, now that I know what I must be sending to have this result, what can I do? And we just ask the master of self-image herself, Vladi, what can one do to change the self-image?
You know, it's funny because I wrote down give, not expect it, because what we're giving, and I'm going to slide the self-image into it, is we often give, but we expect something back. So think about that. Are you one of those who always gives, but you see the reason that the person you're giving to or what you're doing has a benefit for you as well? Because as my t-shirt shows frequencies, somebody pointed out yesterday, it's kind of when you're on certain lower frequency, you give expecting something back. If you want to vibrate, and we're talking about law of attraction, so you attract who you are, what you vibrate. You want to be vibrating on a much higher frequency, because what happens now, you're getting the best opportunities, best people, best kind of money, best kind of health, because you're on higher frequency. So if you actually not expecting back anything, you're willingly giving and graciously receiving. Bob Proctor used to say that. But really willingly give, meaning you don't expect anything back. Now, it will come back to you multiplied, and most likely not from the same person. It usually comes back from different places and different people. But really, self-image, how does this slide into it? Because really you attract who you see. It's not who you are sometimes. That's conditioned human being, which is habitual creature. That's the human form of us. But the spiritual form of you, it's just that is having the human experience, is really who do you live as in your imagination. If you are imagining continuously and living from the end, from the place of you that can't do things, don't have enough money, don't have enough opportunities, don't have a great body, don't have a love life they would desire, don't have traveling, they don't travel the way they would desire. If you're actually coming from a lack, then you're very low frequency, vibrating from lack frequency. So the people you meet are vibrating luck. The money you receive are vibrating luck. The love life you have, vibrating luck. It really is a law. So you have to move yourself up to the high frequency. How do you move it? By feeling better, by focusing on feeling good. And that is how you create better self-image. You operate on few self-images actually. But which one is the dominant one? Because you might be the brave one, but is the weak one showing up for you more often, and you practicing that from a comfortable place rather than stepping into the I can do it one. Because really it isn't that we have one, we have few self-images, but which one of them you practicing more, you live from that image, and that's the one you train yourself into. Because if it's the risk-taking one, then you will probably gain more, because you risk more, you gain more. It's been a saying, but the truth is, it's been my life experience. If you, now I won't be able to translate this saying in English, and it probably would make sense, but really it is. If you're afraid of everything, well, stay sitting in a hole and just wait there for until you die. You have to get out there and experience life. And failure is not a failure. Failure is opportunity to grow. This is not something that we were taught at school. They didn't tell us, oh, go out and fail. The more times you fail, the more success you have. I mean, I've never heard it as a child. It was like, oh, you would do 10. I remember in a math class, it was like a test of 10 examples, the math sort of examples. And if you failed one, they said, oh, look at that one. You didn't do that one. Think of what you're attracting. You're immediately focusing on one mistake there was out of 10. Isn't that remarkable that you actually done 90% greatness? But they didn't teach us to look at, well done for doing 9 correct. That's amazing. And don't even mention the one. But they start to even teach us at school to focus on the mistakes, on the things we do wrong. And then that's only 5 to 10% of things we do wrong, but we condition ourselves as humans to focus on the things we do wrong. And that's why we attract the things we don't like and experience the things we don't want to experience. Because when you squeeze the orange, bringing back Venn Dyer as Norman brought him, you squeeze the orange, that's you. Only what comes out of it? Just the orange. Anything that's inside you will come out. And Bob Proctor used to say, if you give people more money, they can become millionaires, but they will only become more of who they are already. So touching on to what Norman said, if you focus on just driving for money and success and nothing else through hearts and souls don't care, that's what you will achieve, because there's no judgment. God gave you free will to choose whatever you want to do. It's your choice. So yes, you will succeed. Yes, you will have a lot of money. And yes, you will probably not experience the fullness of life and joy, because that is not on that frequency. So yes, you will have lots of money and ego. And that's why lots of people who become very successful, and I'm talking about the band players, then they start taking drugs and stuff. Well, there is a common dominator if you look in a history in all these people. And that is that it's inside them, and the pressure of society, unless you choose not to, can kill you. And I'll
True.
hand it to you.
And caring is a major point to raise up in frequencies, and to care for yourself is first and foremost most important, because it's all about yourself. And then let's go to the others, like Vladi just said. If you want to just sell your stuff, you're always aiming at people that could give you something back, that bring something back to you. And I think it was Dale Carnegie, and first I heard it from Bob Proctor, has that every person has a sticker on their head. It says MMFI, make me feel important. And Vladi, in one of the older episodes, already spoke about a golden rule. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And there's the diamond rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated. And now let's make a platinum rule out of right now and use the concept of make me feel important. How can you make someone feel important if you really care for them? But now let's check ourselves, and you can check you and I check myself. And I did not master this point yet. The question is, are you nice to people just for the fact to be nice to people? And what you might realize is, no, I'm only nice to people where I think I have or will get a benefit out. And what I mean with that, just imagine you're at a store and there's your biggest superstar, or not the biggest, but any superstar right in front of you in the line. I think you probably, if they turn around and they look at you, you say hello, and you probably go into a conversation. And if they need some help at the end of the line, you probably help them with their second bag. If they would miss $2, you would pay for them. You would be very nice. It's like you come to a party and you go to a table and there's another person and you briefly say, yeah, hello. And the other one says hello, but you don't pay attention until the host comes and says, oh, did you already meet my friend Judy? And said, yeah, we just said hello. Do you know Judy is the author of, I don't know, the new Harry Potter? She's going through the roof. Oh, now you have a lot to talk about, because at the end of the day, you can say, I stood next to Judy and she's the new author of the new Harry Potter stuff and she's so famous. And because their light comes onto you. And I think we are all guilty as charged that this happens. You're always very nice to the people where you have a benefit out of. But what about the family in the store that I experienced 2 days ago that come from another country? You could see that, you could hear that, and in my case, you could smell that. One smelled a little strong. Did I treat them the same way like I would treat a superstar or someone I would benefit from? No, I didn't. I stayed a little bit away to stay away from the smell, and I hope that they go to another cash register. And this is what my self-image projects out automatically. Can you see God in everything? Because then God looks back at you through everything. And it's not just your work or your family or whatever. Of course, you're very nice to them. You have a benefit out of that. If you're not nice to your spouse, they will kick your butt. If you're not nice to your kids, they will jump on your head. If you're not nice to your boss, he will fire you. If you're not nice to your sisters-in-law and brothers-in-law and relatives and whoever, nobody takes care of the kids when you want to hang out with your best friend for a weekend. Of course, you're very nice, but are you as nice to the whole world? And if we want to expand that to every human being, to every animal, to every plant, to every living creature, even those without a brain, but they're still alive, can you be nice? If you could do that, if you really, let me phrase that again, if you could see God in everything, God would look back at you through everything. You would send out a vibration of love and of caring, and this vibrates, to look at Vladi's shirt, very high to her neck. And then stuff would have to come back on a very high vibration. And I think it's Dr. David Hawkins that had the vibration level scale. He said love vibrates on 500. And money also vibrates on 500. So can you send out more love, and not with your mind to say, yes, I'm just nice to my clients and I'm just nice to the listeners because they might get clients. You know, there's always lag behind so many things we do. Can we train ourselves to be nice to people, to animals, to plants that we really would not have any benefit of? And I think this is a major key to step up in vibration and to get a much more solid self-image that reflects the things you're sending out. Because like I said earlier, to receive something back, you have to send something out first. And as we're all sending 24/7, it's quite smart to figure out what am I sending, and how you find out what you're sending. Just look at your results in life.
I love that. I love what you said. And I want to really remind everyone that this really is about you, who you are and what you vibrate. And really, it's the intention. So think of intention. What is the intention you do things with? Because intention and desire are on much higher frequencies than anything else. So when you talk about quantum field, that's where desire and intention sits. So what is your intention? Because sometimes and that's the hidden intention as well. Because sometimes we do things because we know that, okay, if I go, and I love that example actually, Norman, when somebody knows someone and introduce them, and now all of a sudden you can be more important, because everybody in this planet wants to be seen, heard, and respected. It's just every human wants that. So most of the times the ego drives us to be seen, because what if we stay, instead of, if we're next to important people, if we're next to famous people, if we're next to certain people. And I'll just compare it to a very quick, we've been to Hollywood with Norman, and you know, like you walk in there, you see all these actors, you see the producers, and it makes you realize that they just people like you. You know, like we look at them from outside of that environment as, oh wow, yes, Hollywood. You know, like I remember I used to look at it that way. Now I see that place needs more mindset than any other place in the planet. And it's amazing place, but they very specifically focused on what they famous for. And that's where the energy is. And what are you focusing on? Because, you know, like being in the mountains, where I was telling you the story in this or the last episode as well, on the mountains where there's nothing, the very basics. And I felt the most connected to myself out of all the places I visit. So what are the places it's okay for you to go and do things that are maybe not seen as flashy in others' eyes, but you're growing yourself, you're growing people around you, and you're creating something remarkable because of the full connections you feel. Remember one thing, and it's that today's whole lesson actually fits to it. Fill your cup first, because we're talking about frequencies. If your cup is half empty, or even just a tiny bit because you're drained, you're exhausted, you're not sure what your purpose is, you're not sure what your goal is, you know, you might feel frustrated financially, or you haven't still found your soulmate, whatever it is in your life. But think of how amazing it is if you fill your cup first, because then that's where you're attracting from. So the partner you're going to attract is going to be the best one because you fill your cup first. You can't give what you don't have. I mean, that was something that I had to work on. I thought, but I'm serving people, I'm giving everything. It's okay because my cup is half empty, I'm only giving half. Even if I think I'm giving 200%, it's still just 200% of the half. If I was vibrating 80 to 100 all the time, like close to 100, and just fill my cup first, then even if I do something, oh, okay, a little help, that gives more to people than my full attention of half cup full. So really fill your cup first. Focus on getting better. Focus on giving with your heart unconditionally from generative gratitude, and come from this place all the time. Because that like all the collection of these little things, doing small things in a greatest way, will actually bring you to experience that amazing, fulfilled, successful life in a quantum leap way.
I love that. And before we give you a little homework, how you can fill your cup much more, I was reminded, as Vladi mentioned Hollywood, about a little thing that happened in Hollywood. If you are at Universal Studios, there's a studio tour, which means you take a little train, I don't know, maybe 100 people in a train, and they drive through the production area of Universal Studios, and they can look at the sound stages, mostly from outside, and they sometimes see a Hollywood star passing by. And we were in the production area while we were there, which means we looked at the train passing by those little bungalows where Steven Spielberg is and all the other great producers and directors. And at one point we said, you know, if we would be superstars, we would for sure wave at the tourists passing by in the little train. So we decided when the next train comes, just the three of us, let's turn around and just wave at them and smile and see if they kind of film us. And it always comes back to what Vladi said, you want to be seen, heard, or respected. Like, do they film strangers and think, oh, we just saw, who was that? I don't know, let's go on Wikipedia and find out. So we did that. And some people were filming and others were waving back. And we did that again for the next train. And then I was there on my own. The other two people left. And the next train came. And I thought to myself, should I do that again? But my self-image said, yeah, who are you to wave at guests driving through Universal Studios, pretending that you're somebody? I had an internal discussion and I was too much chicken to do it, to be quite honest. So I did not wave at the other trains. I just looked. A couple hours later, we went into Universal Studios to do the studio tour, like from the outside, and we took the little train driving through the production area where we were part of a couple hours before. And you know what happened while I was looking through the other lens from the other side, from the train into the beautiful Hollywood production area? I saw people walking by, standing there looking at us, not noticing us. And you know what I would have loved for them to do? To wave at us. And no need to be Tom Hanks or Steven Spielberg or whoever. Some random people, because by them waving at me would have given me a feeling I am seen and I'm part of this Hollywood red carpet society, because they wave at me. They make me a part of their world. And in that moment, I realized whenever I will be back in the production area, I will wave at every train that passes by. I will stand there for hours and just wave to give people the feeling of being seen. Now let's come back to your homework. How can you raise your cup? How can you change your inner vibration? It's exactly that. Wave at other people that you don't know. Be nice to other people that you don't know, and check your whole life. I was asked by a friend in our Monday community, and she's quite new. She said, we came back after the cruise and we met with our relative people in our surrounding, and they were all so negative and they were just talking about the bad stuff. So what should we do? Should we kick them out of our lives? But we don't have 1,500 friends that we can choose of. Like, we have 2-3 couples, we meet with them, but they're also negative. What should we do? And I will give the answer that I gave them. I said, if it kills your vibration, if you're sitting with them and you feel bad and you know the talk just pulls you down and you feel worse after you finish meeting with them than before, then it's not worth your lifetime. And this would be exactly your homework. Go through your relationships you have with friends. Just check, how do I feel right now? Then you meet them and you check again. And you ask yourself, do I feel better? Do I feel the same? Or do I feel worse? If you feel better, meet with them more often. If you feel the same, it's okay. But, you know, nothing changed in your life, which is sad. But if you feel worse, it's about your lifetime. And if you check that with your relationships, if you check that with your friends, if you check that with your surrounding, with your car, how do you feel? I have a couch across of me, and as my kids are here for vacation, all the pillows are laying like after a pillow fight, and this kind of disturbs me. I don't like that. But again, can I change it that I feel comfortable in my space? And even though, but they destroyed it, they have to, yeah, it's my feeling. Do I have to wait until they please to come and do it and I have to beg them 5 times? Or if I just do it in 10 seconds and I feel much better. Change your surrounding as much as your inner feeling needs it, that you sit comfortable in your car, and probably you need to vacuum your car or throw some stuff out or wash it or just some pillows or buy some new stuff for the kitchen where you have some crazy stuff for the pan and whatever, and it's always very shaky and you're getting frustrated because it's so old. Can you invest money in you and time in you and joy in you, because then you will vibrate much better and much higher, and this will be your homework. And as we're already in 31 minutes, Vladi, do you have one closing sentence?
Yes, sort out your priorities and really live your life in alignment with your core values. Really think of that, because that really fits into what Norman was saying. Are you living in your alignment with your core values? Because that will always lead you to the right path.
Amen.
Have a great week.
Absolutely. And we see and hear you again next week. Until then, bye bye.
Thank you for listening.